All right. I'm gonna try to pronounce the name, but if I apologize if I blow it out of proportions. Caligulon Kaya Goksoy. Um, so the first thing I would see right off the bat is that I see some anatomy issues. Looking at it from this standpoint, the first and foremost thing I see is that this leg here feels very awkward. Um, and if you're trying to draw through the the character here, I'm drawing neck, I'm drawing the torso, the rib cage, kind of leaning back here. I've got the elbow here, and so if that's the elbow from here to here, that means that from here to here should be roughly the same size. Um, it just looks drastically long, and so I would say drop her proportions quite a bit. And then even if I put on the pelvis here with the torso, this leg would have a little bit more thickness, and it's going to overlap a little bit more. And you want to show that overlap going on. The other aspect is this is coming over here, and it's foreshortening, and you're not really, it doesn't feel like it's foreshortened. It feels like it's almost going straight that way. So just pay attention to that. I think the leg would probably come down to about there for the ankle, and then it looks way too long. Check with your anatomy and stuff like that. That or the head maybe is a little bit too small, but I think watching your proportions is going to be a big aspect. The other thing is, like, you've got that idea of that it's snowing and hazing, but the problem that you've got is that you have no sense of depth because the character here is ultimately kind of the same. Like, I see your ridge here for the trees, but that is the same tonal value here as it is practically in here. Like, I mean, there's no real difference from tonal value. And so what you want to do is I would definitely go in there and layer it a little bit more. So if I'm going to go here, and the first thing I would do, and I'm just going to really rough this out here. The first thing that I would do is lighten this just a hair, and so just by lightening it just a bit, you can see I've only lightened it like 5%. Now that's basically giving me a little bit more kind of area in there, and then I'm going to go again and lighten the next one here another 5%, like so, and then this last mountain back here, I mean, that hidden edge is fine, but again, if I just do a little bit of adjustment, it's just, I'm not doing much, I'm just doing enough to add that depth in there. So you can then see like the before and the after, like it just pops out a lot more. And then lightening her, because this is such a muted gray, lightening her gives that background a little bit more kind of love. And then the other thing is, there's more contrast as you go further back. So I would say add some exposure control, leveling it, maybe giving it a little bit something along the lines of like this. And then because you still have the transition here, I would go into, let's go into black, and then in my mask, and let's see if I did this in the right direction. Nope. I would go in. Oh, there you go. Get the right mask going on. I would go in, and so do you see how like now the lighting is a little bit warmer, as far as like, you know, it pops a little bit more. I mean, I can even kind of pull out some of that white snow because you're close to that white snow, so I'd almost want to see more of that. And then if you do look at like blood in the snow, that's the other thing I would kind of pay attention to. And I know you don't want to take away from the girl, but if you look at your saturation here, and let's just bring the saturation up a little bit more, and then in our mask, let's just drop in and go in and brush some of this together. Oops, white would help here. And so just by popping in and getting more of those saturated blues in the closer foreground and the saturated reds, I think that's going to help out as well. You know, I think that saturation like really kind of forces that to give you that aspect. I would also like push this flag because this flag is a little bit closer. I'd push this up further. And then as far as she goes, what I would do is do a temperature control on her. So I'm just going to grab something like this. And then I would do, let's see here, let's try a photo filter on her. And, you know, just bring her saturation up a little bit more so it fights the amount of like the amount of kind of contrast, if you will. Like add a little bit more orange to her skin. Like I get you're supposed to be kind of pale, but I think without that she just starts fading into the background. There's too much closer to her. The other aspect too is in your shadows here. You know, you're going from that light to dark. There's no sense of like reds in here. Let's do this. So I would add in, let's go with an orangish red, and I would just add in that orangish red here, probably in here, and I would probably do it like an overlay, low opacity, but it's where the skin kind of reflects on each other, and so variate the skin a little bit more and kind of work with that. Again, that's a little bit way too saturated, but just very subtle will give you the idea that skin is reflecting off of each other. And other than that, I think you've got the good idea, but I would also add a little bit more color into the leathers, into the barrel, things like that, so it's not so stark black and white. And I'm not saying a ton of color, I'm just saying enough to like pop her a little bit more. But those are things that I would definitely look at and change if you're gonna do this. All right.